All right, my fellow yogi friends. I know when you're out there teaching and leading, you want to show up as your highest aligned self, as your most authentic self, embodied, grounded, confident, all of the things. But sometimes we're not feeling that way. Sometimes we get a little off track. The energy's a little jank, if you will, or you are just not feeling it. You're not feeling it. And that's okay because you're not stuck, you're not broken. Life is crazy and sometimes our energy is off. And other times we find ourselves in a bit of misalignment, and it may have been going on for some time. It may be just temporary. You woke up on the bad side, or what's it called? The wrong side of the bed, as if there were such a thing. But if it's been going on for some time, if you're struggling with overwhelm, with stress, with self-doubt, with being unsure, questioning yourself, not feeling confident, not having energy, not feeling like the spice of life, getting a little blasé or you're down in the dumps often, then it can feel like misalignment has taken place in your life. You've lost some sort of connection. And here's the thing is we feel when we're out there leading others, teaching yoga, that we're supposed to be on point. We're supposed to be the picture of Zen. Now all these are facades. They can lead to sort of this imposter syndrome, this feeling of, am I good enough to be doing this? Should I be doing this right now? Should I be leading others right now? And that's okay. What we're going to do is get you back into alignment. We're going to work on that. And we're going to hit the topic today of what your standards are so that you can reassess and upgrade in order to find that alignment again. Stick with me, grab your cup of Joe. I've got mine here. We're going to dive in and chat. All right. So when it comes to alignment or not, when it comes to feeling on point, feeling good, to being grounded, to being confident, to being sure, alignment needs to be there. Intentionality needs to be there. Awareness and presence need to be there. Okay, these are all sort of the North Stars or my core values that I will always roll with and that I allow to lead the way, point the way, guide me in what I do. And I will always do that with you as well. So, we're talking today about your standards, and really that is what you're tolerating. And it's funny because we will actually tolerate just so much discomfort or unease or frustration or agitation, resistance, stress, what have you, pain in the body. We will tolerate it to a level, like we almost get comfortable with a certain level of this discomfort. Um, and it honestly usually takes something great to push us over the edge so that we'll finally change. I've always said that getting fed up is one of the greatest catalysts for change. And that's usually what happens is you get to a point where you've had enough, right? You tip over the edge, you've had enough. Typically, this ends up not being such a pretty moment in our lives because we have held so much for so long that we like spaz out and flip out on somebody. Not ideal, but it happens. And the reason why is we've held this low line discomfort or misalignment, this dis-ease for long enough to where it's built up. It's built up to a point and something makes it spill over. And so we change. But the key is to always be assessing where you are now, living intentionally and with awareness and with presence and being grounded in your energy and staying in alignment takes continual work. I don't want to call it work. It takes continual attention, which feels like work. Why does it feel like so much work? That, my friend, is because we are so used to being on autopilot, just going through the motions. We live through our conditioning that has been a part of our lives since we were born. Everything we think, feel, do, believe, the perspectives we hold, the reactions we have, it's conditioning. And that's fine to a point. But in order to live intentionally and be aware and be aligned. You need to question all of those things so that you know if the way you're behaving, reacting, believing, the thoughts you're thinking, the perspectives you have are true to you, or if they're just conditioning that may have been placed in you by society, by any system. There's many systems. There's government, there's your familial system, there's cultural, there's social media. There's all these systems out there, education, workplace. All these systems are in place and they're all conditioning us all the time. And it's just a part of life. But waking up means that you're not just on autopilot, going through the motions, not thinking like a sheep, doing whatever, pretty much in a trance, pretty much asleep. And if you're feeling a bit of misalignment, if you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, if you're just feeling like something's off, something's not right, you don't feel good, there's no zest, you're misaligned. And a lot of that comes from your standards. It's what you're tolerating. All right, so let's think about what you're tolerating. First, I want you to think about anything that you feel like you are maybe growing out of, trying to move away from. Maybe there's something that doesn't quite fit anymore. I'm not talking about your clothes because you had too much sourdough, which is kind of the theme of my life right now because I've gotten into making sourdough. What I'm talking about is the things that you used to do, say, the ways you used to behave, reactions, your job, even music you used to listen to, all these things, anything you're doing, that somehow just doesn't feel like it fits anymore. Like you do it because you always did it, but you're like, I don't really know about this anymore. That's starting to wake up. When you start to realize that you don't feel quite right, like you're wearing the wrong clothes, that's the first step to waking up. You're like, oh, something's off here. You recognize there's some misalignment. So then you start to identify what it is that feels off, and you start to question, how do I really feel about this? Do I really like this? Do I really want that? You start to become very aware of what you are saying from the inside without all the conditioning, without everybody else's input, without the fear of judgment. And I know that's huge. I know that's a huge part of it. A lot of the things we do and the patterns and behaviors that we sustain are due to fear of judgment. Because if we change, what does that mean? And how are we going to have to deal with the people who then are going to react to the change of us? So go back to what you're growing out of. I want you to notice any time that you feel like there's some sort of misalignment, some sort of the sweater doesn't fit feeling for whatever you're doing. Maybe it's the foods you eat. Maybe you just have been eating a certain way for a long time and you're like, oh, this doesn't suit me anymore. There's so many things that we just get stuck in autopilot and we never question. So there's a lot of coming home to yourself, allowing space, allowing quiet, and allowing yourself to ask the questions, to tune into your body. It's really easy to notice what is in alignment for you and not, because you will either feel one of two things. You're going to feel some hesitation or resistance or some sort of like tightening, clenching. Any of those things, that's a no. Straight up, that's a no. Okay. And then there's times where you feel open and expansive when presented with something. That's a yes. So it's not like it has to be a mind fuck. Like that's what we really want to do. We want to run everything through the ringer of our mind, but that's not where the answers lie. Go to your body, go to your heart and how it feels in you when presented with something, when you start to question something that feels not right. So, what are you growing out of? All right. What you're growing out of is typically something you're still tolerating. It's not bad enough to change yet. You can deal, you have been, but you're like, bad taste in the mouth. That's something you're tolerating, not something you're enjoying, not something that's moving you up the scale, putting you in alignment. You're tolerating that. Oh, I just bust that cup on my teeth. What you are tolerating is building your life out. That's a standard that you have. So you need to figure out all the things you're tolerating that you're growing out of that you are like, you know what? No, I don't like that. I'm not going to do that anymore. And then draw a new bucket, if you will, of the things you're no longer going to tolerate. So create a bucket of the things you can figure out that you're tolerating that don't quite align with you any longer. And maybe you've known for a while. There's probably a lot of these things that you're like, I know I'm tolerating. Maybe it's things in your environment that other people are doing that you just haven't communicated and drawn a line to them and said, you know what? No, that's not how we're going to behave in my presence. I'm not tolerating that. It may be your own behaviors, your own thought patterns, your own self-sabotage. Maybe this is your come to Jesus moment where you got to realize all the things about yourself that you've been tolerating because you are wanting to avoid the discomfort of change, of growth. It's easier to be in a trance. It's easier to be on autopilot than to question, to change, to go a different route to work, whatever it is. So, what are you tolerating? What are you no longer going to tolerate? Start there. Firm, firm about that too. Not wishy-washy, not people-pleasing, not with the fear of judgment. Be real firm about that and communicate it clearly. And we don't have to be rude when we communicate this. It's actually doing everybody a service. It's doing a service because then people who are around you know what's expected of them when they are to interact with you. And then it's an easy yes or no whether or not they get time in your space. It clears things up for everybody. And if they don't resonate with you any longer, goodbye. Okay, you're better off now. You're welcome. Okay. You're doing them a service, you're doing you a service by drawing that line in the sand. People like boundaries. They like to know where they stand. They like to know how to behave around someone. And when it comes to yourself, you are really setting a new standard of what you will and will not tolerate in your own behavior, your own patterns. A lot of this comes down to what it is you want to be experiencing for yourself. How do you want to be feeling? What do you want to be doing? So sometimes you have to do a little self-reflection there to understand what it is that your new standards need to be. And what maybe what you've been tolerating that doesn't really fit when you're like, actually, I would prefer to be feeling this, doing this, experiencing this. This doesn't align with it. I can't tolerate that anymore. I need to change that. Set a new standard. That's going to start the change. It's going to start making small changes, some big. You might have some great big changes that need to happen based upon this. But if you keep in mind what it is that you're after, why do you want to change? What do you want to be experiencing? Don't just rest on your laurels with, it's okay, I can handle this. It's not that bad. It's bad. Admit it. Any not good is bad. This is your life. Wake up. Stop wasting it, tolerating things. It's time to wake up and be intentional. And to do that, you need to be very aware of the choice in every moment of what you're going to choose to tolerate and what you're no longer going to tolerate. When you start doing that, you're going to find a lot more alignment in your life. You're going to find a lot more grounded energy because you are so conscious of what's going on around you and what you prefer. And you're going to notice your energy shift, and those around you will as well. And this is an amazing place to lead from. That is how you want to show up for your clients, for your students, for yourself on and off the mat. I don't just talk about ways to teach better. I'm talking about how you can live life from a place that is aligned and authentic and feels good and grounded. So I hope that helps you, that little exercise for today. Just ask yourself, what are you growing out of? What are you no longer willing to tolerate? And it kind of all starts with identifying what you've been tolerating that is not in alignment. Until next time, my friends, I wish you peace.